What difference does it make? I'm hitting record. Why does this always start with us yelling at each other?
I have no idea.
Every single time we start this, yelling at each other. Nobody listens. I can't direct this. The cats aren't doing a very good job of it.
The cats are not doing a good job.
Of directing. They're not going to be director anymore.
They are. Well,
They're losing their credit.
They're still directors, but they're definitely not winning the Oscar for it. If it comes down to directing.
They are.
If it comes
Well,
down to
one of
directing,
them should be
that's
mascot.
No.
One of them should be mascot.
We don't need that.
Huh?
Yeah, we do.
They are our mascots. We don't need it to be.
That makes more sense than having them as the directors. They're not even down here. They're not even monitoring.
Sometimes they would.
Well,
Are we good? Are we done arguing about the cats?
the directors can
No,
do
of course
whatever
not.
they
That's half
want.
the show is us arguing.
About the cats.
Well,
About anything.
the cats can do whatever they want.
We're arguing
right
about
now.
arguing now. This is what we do.
All right,
The
ready?
cats can do whatever they want right now.
Quiet.
Oh.
Put your hand down. Put your hand down. How do you think I'm going to edit that out? Because you're just going to drop your hand and immediately start talking.
All right.
And everybody count to 5 in your head. And look at the camera. Starting now. Heidi ho, neighbor!
We're back again.
It's another episode, it's another week of the Windy City Fantasy Football Show. And we are, believe it or not, a quarter of the way through the season already.
Wow.
It just went by like a blink of an eye, didn't it?
Wait, we're not actually.
Like the snap of a bone.
Daddy.
Look, everybody, I've graduated. I have a cast now.
She has a cast.
And
Yay!
no
It's as
surgery.
green as the football fields.
No surgery.
No surgery! Yay! So,
And it's pretty hard,
It's- It's the little things.
so that means you can write
Yes, you're going to have to write something. You have to sign your name on it for mom or something at some point.
Yeah, I know what I'm gonna do on it.
Do you?
So,
Yeah, but I'm keeping it secret.
Okay.
okay. So,
Well-
anyway.
Well, there's not much else that's going on now as an update. Alan joined choir.
Yeah, he had his first choir practice
Had his
tonight.
first choir practice.
He was
this
one of
evening,
only
so
3 boys there.
That's fine.
There was a lot of girls, wasn't there? It was kind of fun.
All right.
I didn't know
So
it did
here
that at the bottom.
We're
Is it
learning
just-
new things all the time. We're learning new things with the app. If you've got the ESPN Fantasy Football app and you've got it on a tablet, you apparently see a lot more.
Year
It's a
by
be-
year.
it's a
It's
better-
telling you what my name was and everything. I like how most of this year's it's like,
Oh no!
you tried.
Steady fall down. Go boom.
Last year, though,
Okay.
first place.
Okay. Well, we're heading into week 5, which means we should have some.
Week 4 results.
Oh,
Meow meow. He was saying you weren't paying attention.
They're horrible directors.
They're the directors, and they can do whatever they want. Okay.
Week
so,
4 results.
What
Okay.
the heckler beat Soldier Field?
Woo!
What?
Something good happened to me last week.
What the heckler?
Yay! Something good happened to me.
Are you saying that in an unironic, like, you're upset with those results?
Not right now. I think you should make
Come here, directors. Direct this nonsense.
Trooper is.
All right, anyway, the score was.
Okay.
154.22 to 91.16.
Thank you, Mommy. I think you should be doing the scores.
Okay.
King Henry beat Taylor May by.
King Henry had 150.64 and Taylor Made had 85.56.
Devontae and Banjo beat.
Oh, well, we're going to jump down to there because that's a story. Austin got a win!
Hooray!
Yay! Austin
You
had...
interrupted me.
It's kind of not hard to do. You're constantly chatting.
Okay, fine, do it. Score.
Austin had 127.98 and Lindsay had 123.56.
I think there was something we were gonna mention, but Alan just flying through everything.
I had said, What the Heckler had the top score of the week.
Yes.
And Austin got a win.
There we
So
go.
those were our week 4 highlights.
Those are the big highlights
Yes.
of the week.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Now.
then yes.
Heroes beat Stafford Infection by
133.6 and Stafford Infection had 124.76.
Okay.
So that really
Breeze
leaves
is the
us-
word beated Lamar the Merrier by
Just barely. Breeze is the word had 101.28 and Lamar Lemarier had 99.6.
And it's beat. You don't need to add the ED.
All right, he's 7.
Okay.
You gotta learn.
I gotta win beat INS Kraken by
I got a win had 138.9 and the INF Krakens had 103.8.
Okay.
And now with all of that done, now let's take a look at our standings for the league.
Okay.
We have one lone undefeated team. Breeze is the word. Is currently sitting at how many wins, how many losses?
4 wins, 0 loses.
Losses.
Think 0 losses. She could become the champ.
Well,
She could. She's on record right now.
she's doing
But if
well.
I remember right, Michaela started super hot last year too, and then cooled off. No one's gonna fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure it happened. Anyway.
That happened because she had Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry got hurt in like week 4
Uh,
or week 5. So
Oh, there you go. See, I remembered. Next.
well, anyway, there's one team that's in sole position of second place.
Yes.
And that's Lindsay, who's sitting at 3-1. And now we're starting to see the breakup because we have not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, but 7 teams at 500, 2-2. And do you want to go through them?
Jen, Matt, Carson, Michaela, Rick, and Delaney.
Yeah, we're giving up on the team names.
Well,
at the moment.
sorry. Yeah.
We would have them in front of us if our son wasn't so busy playing on the tablet,
I'm just
He's not doing his job. He's just sitting here monkeying around.
Hold on. I'm just gonna see if Sue has won this before.
She
That's
did.
not going to show you that.
Yes, it will. Down at the bottom. One more. She won that year.
She won the inaugural year.
So when no teams had pictures?
Sure.
Sure. Because that's a thing that's important.
It also would have just
Been on the trophy, right?
right here.
So that was like 2023.
No.
Huh? What's that number again?
2023,
Look at it
2-0.
again.
2013.
There
Ding,
you
ding, ding,
go. 2 years before you were born.
Yep.
My cousin was born the year before me.
6 months before you, but yes.
6
All right,
months.
we've gotten so
So
far
off track. And last but not least, there are 1 and 3 teams in Austin, Emily, and Jameson.
And those were the orders that are listed as far as the standings are concerned based on the points that we've scored. Hey, speaking of which, out of the 2 and 2 teams, I have the largest range between points allowed and points for.
It's true.
However, it's negative. I've allowed 560 points, and I've scored 506 some points. So,
And what's mine? I'm the other.
well, I'd love to know, but you know what? We're so far
Hey,
outside of what's going on here that it's
I'm
not
sorry.
funny.
Daddy's right.
Standings. There you
Let's
go.
see. I have 517 points forward and 430 points allowed. Wow.
Stop hitting me. All right.
Anyway.
So those are the standings.
Feels weird to have a piece of paper instead of my notebook. I typed everything out, you guys.
That's great for the microphone too. Just constantly shaking a piece of paper. That's going to sound great for everybody watching this.
I typed it out.
Yes.
Okay. Next I have coulda, shoulda, woulda, but let's jump down to our overreaction / hot takes. Fly, Eagles, fly. Super Bowl's theirs.
Why did you say fly?
They're the best team in a bad NFC.
They're the only undefeated team in the NFL.
It doesn't matter.
It does.
I am not going to... We're not giving anybody the Super Bowl title from the NFC. The AFC is a much harder division.
And guess
That's
what?
why there's no undefeated teams in there.
And
Jalen Hurts MVP.
And guess what? They're going against another bird team that's named the Cardinals.
That is so far down the schedule, down our script here, that we don't even need to be starting about that.
All right. Fly, Eagles, fly. They're winning the Super Bowl. Hurts for MVP. Cooper Rush is the future of the Cowboys.
I think that their offense is so unimaginative that Dak Prescott looks like a fool. Plus, their whole team's been hurt pretty much. Their offensive line is crap compared to last year. Zeke's not doing very well. That puts everything on Dak, and Dak really isn't the most accurate thrower to begin with, especially when he's on the move. And CeeDee Lamb was pretty much non-existent up until the point where Cooper Rush started playing. So I don't think that Cooper Rush gave him some wins against some
He's
meh
undefeated.
teams. Against some meh teams. Who did they beat?
Well, he beat Minnesota last year.
No, we're not talking about last year. That has nothing to do with it.
It's Cooper Rush's overall record. He is undefeated. He is 4-0. He started one game last year in Minnesota and won. He won the 3 games this year that the Cowboys have played.
And who did they play this year?
Wouldn't it be nice if you could look at your tablet? I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be
I don't
lovely.
We're going to week 5.
That's
Anyway.
yeah. Is Zap?
Zappy Belichick's next Tom Brady.
No.
Oh, come on. I just thought this was a cool story. I mean,
Sure, I'm.
third string quarterback definitely, isn't on anybody's radar at all. That's how Tom Brady kind of came into the equation. Obviously, it's not the same thing. I'm just saying, it's kind of cool that the kid took it in stride. Anyway, I thought Zaps did a good job. He could be the next Tom Brady. Because as we know, Tom Brady got called up when the name's going to escape.
Drew Bledsoe.
Thank you. Got hurt. And then Tom Brady comes in.
Number 1 overall pick.
And Tom Brady was the 7th pick. 7th round pick. 7th round pick.
7th round.
And Zappy was a 4th round pick.
Look.
Who's Zappy?
It would be lovely if the NFL worked that way. A lot of people probably think it does. But do we really want Tampa Bay to go through another just dynasty run with another great quarterback?
The Patriots.
The Patriots. Who gives a crap at this point?
Oh, look at
Moving
that.
into the next one, Tampa Bay, since I flubbed the name of the team, is Tom Brady finally washed?
Is it finally worth it now that he's getting divorced when he just had to come back? No one can see your face because of what you're doing. What do you want?
Yeah.
Our director's right over there.
Yes, he's...
And no one can see him because the camera's pointed this way. You're not supposed to acknowledge the director. Getting back on topic, Tom Brady came back because Tampa Bay was so completely befuddled. They didn't know what to do. And he was essentially just, okay, I've got nothing else better to do. Well, now his home life is in ruins. And he's playing on a team that
Sucks.
really is no good. They've got no healthy wide receivers. Their offensive line, again, is really hurt or not as good as it was last year. And their defense is really carrying this team. So again, they're in a division where all the teams are 2-2. Every single team, including the Carolina Panthers, the Atlanta Falcons, and the New Orleans Saints, a division that everybody was pretty sure that Tampa Bay was just going to run away with, all of them are 2-2.
Yep. Same as the Chicago Bears.
2-2.
And the Atlanta Falcons.
2-2.
Yeah, I just mentioned that.
2-2.
Because they're in the...
Same division.
2-2.
Yes. So,
2-2.
this is a lot more in-depth NFL analysis than we're used to. I'm sure you guys are used to, too.
Was Cleveland right about Baker Mayfield?
He went to a worse team. Let's
The
be real.
Panthers are better than their record. They said the Panthers defense is better. The Panthers D is good enough to win games, but Baker Mayfield and the offense are not.
That's a lot of teams at this point. You could say the exact same thing about Tampa Bay, too. The defense is good enough to win games. The offense right now is.
Wow, you missed the obvious one there.
Yeah, let's just dig on my team some more. Every Chicago Bear fan knows this, okay? The Green Bay Packers, same way. You could probably name 5 more teams that are the exact same thing. The defense is what's keeping them in games.
There you go.
So,
Every team
we'll see how well they move forward.
Character.
All the all the teams in the NFC South are 2-2. So everybody's still in it up to this point.
Except
Has
the
Baker
Eagles.
played well?
Except
No,
the
not
Eagles,
really.
because they're undefeated.
The Eagles.
They're
Okay.
not in the NFC South.
Moving on.
2-2.
Moving on. Last but not least is the sun
Yes,
setting on
indeed.
Trubisky. Yes.
Yes, the
Yes,
sun
it
is setting on Trubisky. He was a project quarterback. When the Bears drafted him at number 3, they took a shot on a kid based on potential, not on what he could do in the moment. And the team, what was built around him, was ready to compete now. It was a bad draft when they did it. It was a bad move because they didn't help the quarterback at all. Matt Nagy came in and lied to everybody that he was behind the quarterback. He was not. He wanted to run his offense and not work to the strength of his quarterback. We're kind of seeing the exact same thing with Justin Fields. Luke Getsy is pretty much coaching exactly how you would expect a quarterback coach for a Hall of Fame quarterback to coach when he's actually having to coach somebody who's not that good.
So the sun setting on Trubisky in Pittsburgh.
Well,
And everywhere.
Pittsburgh is sunk anyway. There's no way they're winning their division this year. Their offensive
No.
line is even probably
But
worse.
you know, this would be Mike Tomlin's first losing season. I do think he's going to have that.
Oh, that's fine.
And he's the second longest coach in the NFL.
Well, again, they've done nothing to help this team. This offensive line is trash.
Mm-hmm.
Najee Harris had an amazing season last year, only based on the fact that he was a huge chunk of the offense. He was only averaging just over 4 yards a carry. He wasn't blowing up the league. He just got that many carries. And that's unsustainable for any player in the NFL, especially a running back. So we're seeing that now he's injured. He has a foot problem. I think he was injured coming into the season, or at least at the end of last year. Didn't he have some kind of injury? Foot, knee,
I don't know. You'd have to
hand,
ask Sue.
shoulder? Well, whatever. Anywho, your quarterback is still up in the air, your offensive line sucks, and your running back isn't doing very well. Huh. Again, I wonder who that sounds like.
Ba-dum-bum. All right. Well, that's all for overreaction / hot take corner.
Woohoo!
Over analysis there. All right. We have some coulda, shoulda, wouldas.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
You have to keep your face, like, you're going to stop being in these shows if you're not going to allow them to see you.
Your moneymaker.
If you want to just be under a blanket and act like, Cousin It from the Addams Family,
Yeah,
a reference
no,
you
that
don't
is-
know.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Carson won, but he did have Alan Lazard on his bench with 20.6. Now, if you look up, Lindsay only lost to Austin by 4.5 points. She had DK Metcalf with 24.9 and Damian Pierce with 28.9 on her bench.
Actually, you know what?
I hope people are still watching to see that. They probably left during the laugh segment, but I hope you see that.
Well, it's just that much more because that's Austin's first win.
Mm-hmm.
They're married.
Mm-hmm.
Had you lost to me this last week, how would you feel going into this? Honesty. After the week you had.
I say after the week that I had, it really would have been par for the course. The fact that I won was actually kind of the turnaround.
See? So, it's true. It's true. Had she played one of those players, she'd have won, but we don't know. This is why fantasy football is aggravating.
Austin's feelings were hurt, like my hand was broken. So, he got his win, I got my win.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy. All right,
Austin's
Rick,
broken.
now this one is sad. Rick lost by 9 points, and it all happened at the very end of Monday Night Football.
Not because there was a player on
No, it was.
on Herbert's on Sam's team that really performed. It was.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So, let me talk. So Stafford in the last 5 minutes of the game had an interception and a fumble. So that was -4 points.
Wasn't it a pick six?
Yes, it was.
So not only an interception, but a defensive score.
It was a pick six and a fumble. And
Yawn
so Rick
anything?
got -4 for that, and the Niners defense gained 4 points for that. So there's an 8-point swing right there.
And who had San Francisco's defense?
Sam did. Who he was playing. That's why I said.
Well, it just wasn't. I don't think it was clear for everybody who was there.
Yes. Rick lost. It all happened on Monday Night Football. Stafford and
No,
that's
it's
your
his watch.
Okay, anyway, sorry. Yes. Stafford was also sacked 7 times, adding those points for Sam as well.
Oof.
So, but anyway, having said all of that, Rick did have Rashad Penny on his bench with 31.7 points. So.
Yeah, that's his best game of the year.
Could have been a difference maker a little bit, but it really was. Rick was winning, and then just a couple of bad things happened, like boom, boom, and his score went down and Sam's went up, and it was like, ouch, that's a bad beat. All right, next, Emily lost by 2 points to Sue. If she had played Josh Allen instead of Lamar, she would have won. I mean, you're comparing apples to oranges. I get it.
Actually, no, you're not. The smart play throughout all of this season thus far is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has been on the coulda, shoulda, wouldas list every single week so far this year because he's played better than Josh Allen. I think he's probably the number 1 or 2 fantasy quarterback.
So then this week it's the exact opposite. She
Right.
played Lamar, and she should have played Josh Allen because he had more than 10 points.
You gotta start drinking coffee later in the evening.
No.
You're yawning a lot.
I know. It's because it's so exciting. And last but not least, Michaela had J.K. Dobbins on her bench for 22.3. So.
Is that upsetting to you? Or are you pretending to be asleep now? Well, you're really just not doing your job.
All right.
All right. Well, that brings us to...
Booms, busts, and big outs! Yeah. All right, Matt and I had a little bit of a talk about this earlier. Everybody, if you were to close your eyes 4 weeks ago and say, who's going to be the number 1 quarterback in fantasy football?
Well, who's going to be in a top 5?
Raise your hand if you said Jared Goff.
Put that down. You would not.
Nobody would have.
Nobody would have.
Jared Goff is your fantasy football quarterback of the week with 33.22 points.
Just to build on that a little bit, no one expected Detroit to be scoring as much as they are. Amon St. Brown is probably the number 1 or 2 wide receiver in fantasy right now. TJ Hawkinson just had a huge monster of a game because
He is the tight
We
end.
both looked at the score of Detroit and Philadelphia's game last weekend, and what was the word that came out of our mouths? Wow.
Oh, wow. Holy crap.
Because the combined score was somewhere around 80.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those don't happen in the NFL. So, yeah.
Cool.
No, he's really doing well this year. The next one up.
Running back, the number one running back of the week was Josh Jacobs with 37.5.
And every single outlet that I'm aware of was downplaying him all year. He was the running back nobody should draft because he's not going to do any good. And he's been on the outs with the Raiders for who knows how many years now.
The Raiders have been struggling. So, I mean, it was, until this week, it was looking like a solid stance.
Well,
But now,
maybe he's found a groove. We'll see
Maybe.
if maybe he can have another 20-point performance moving forward.
just to annoy all of us that live here in Minnesota, Justin Jefferson is the number one wide receiver in fantasy football.
What?
Yay.
Yeah.
But remember, they had Stephon Diggs once upon a time, too. That worked so well, didn't it? Yeah.
Well, it did while he was there.
Except he hated it here and he wanted to leave. As the aforementioned, we said TJ Hawkinson was your tight end boom of the week with 42.9 points.
If we had a good statistics department, we would check and see if that was the highest scoring player of the year so far. Probably not. Lamar Jackson's probably had more points in a game, but still, a 40-point game from a player is huge. And maybe this is the week where TJ Hawkinson turns it around and becomes one of the elite tight ends in the NFL.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
All for it. And last but not least, as well, we talked about how well the 49ers defense did in taking down the Rams and Rick Stafford infection. They had 22 defense points, which is a lot.
That's a lot of points for a defense here. A lot of points.
So definitely good.
Well,
All right.
What was next?
We have some busts.
we have some busts this week.
Bus.
Busts.
Trevor Lawrence is a bust this week. 4.
Oh, Detroit
One.
didn't play the Eagles?
No, I know they did. I
Jacksonville
was just
did.
letting you talk about it, yeah. Trevor Lawrence had 1, 2, 3, 4 fumbles. That's a lot of fumbles.
He had a bad game. Yes, he did.
He did. So Doug Peterson is gonna right that ship again. James Robinson also had a bad game. It wasn't the best for him. He's kind of been a little bit of a disappointment this year. He hasn't quite lived up to some of the hubbub.
Well, I mean, everybody thought that Travis Etienne was going to be the dude now in Jacksonville since he was Lawrence's running back in college, and they drafted him in the same draft. But no. Everybody forgot about James Robinson, who's a really good NFL player. But yeah, he had just a bad week this week.
Mm-hmm. Brings us to Atlanta. Marcus Mariota didn't have a good week. I mean, he hasn't had a good week in Atlanta, really. The Atlanta offense hasn't had a good week. But Matt's podcast that he listens to, the Fantasy Ringer, the number one disappointment in all of fantasy football is
Kyle Pitts. For being the third tight end taken and the quote-unquote best tight end prospect in the history of the NFL, he has scored, he is averaging
less than 10.
fewer points than, he is somewhere in the 20s as far as ranking in tight ends. He's awful.
It's bad.
It's like 5 points a week from him. He's obvious. Arthur Smith,
Doesn't know what to do
coach
with
of the
him.
Atlanta Falcons,
Doesn't
and
know
also
what to do.
heir of the FedEx world. If you didn't know that, his dad started FedEx. So, hard to get a job. He has no idea what he's doing as a head coach. I guess having Derrick Henry on your team maybe makes you look good. Kind of like maybe having Aaron Rodgers on your team kind of makes you look good. Coming back to Luke Getsy, also Nathaniel Hackett over in Denver. Neither of those guys know what they're doing. They're both just lost in the clouds. So, yeah, not having Hall of Fame caliber players on your team really kind of separates good coaches from lucky coaches. You need to be quiet because you're making noise if you're not going to add something to the show.
Amari Cooper had a bad week. Also, just hasn't had a great year so far.
Cleveland asked for this. Okay? They asked for it. They traded for Deshaun Watson, who we all know is having, that's that whole mess right there. So and he got suspended for pretty much most of the entire season. The first game that he plays this season, against the Texans, go figure. But
convenient.
They have a second-round quarterback. They burned their bridge with their former starting quarterback, Baker Mayfield. And no matter what you say, a backup quarterback is not going to play as well as a starter in the NFL. That's the reason they're backups. And Jacoby Brissett, talented dude, but he's not Deshaun Watson. And some people might say that's a good thing. But, yeah, the offense in Cleveland, as far as the passing is concerned, it's probably not going to look good until a better quarterback emerges.
So, another one that we talked about this year, Allen Robinson wasn't any good last year either. Allen Robinson has either lost his mojo or he's just washed up.
Well, last year he was pissed at the Bears because they didn't want to extend him, and for the most part it kind of looked like they were really writing him out of the offense. They weren't running anything for him. There was no chemistry between him and either of the quarterbacks that were playing at all this season. So he signs a $30 million guaranteed money contract with the Rams and has had what?
He had
maybe
one catch.
3 catches?
Yeah, they had one catch in that
far?
game last night. Yeah, or the game on Monday.
So either Sean McVay is not the genius we think he is, and he's got a one-trick pony in Cooper Kupp,
and Tyler Higbee.
I
know.
Yeah. Or there's no chemistry between the quarterback and the wide receiver, and I hope it's the less likely of all three of these, Allen Robinson's washed. He's just done. He's played on too many bad teams, and now he's just an old receiver who just doesn't have his speed anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, which team does he play for now?
He plays for the Rams. He's just not having a good year so far. Could turn it around.
All right. Lastly, Jonathan Taylor is also not having a good year so far. I kind of think a lot of people predicted that. It's so hard to follow up a year. Cooper Kupp is actually giving it a good go for his money, but it's, Derrick Henry did it the year before. Last year it was Jonathan Taylor, and Christian McCaffrey has done it before that. It's just hard to follow that up, but so far this year Jonathan Taylor has been a bust.
Yeah.
And the Colts in general.
That Colts in general are in rough shape. Everybody thought that bringing in Matt Ryan would be an improvement over the way Carson Wentz played. Well, he probably is, but you're running into the same problems you've been running into before. Matt Ryan, as Jen would say, has never met an interception he didn't want to throw. Their wide receiver room isn't impressive. You've got Michael Pittman Jr., and he's not elite. He's good. So all you pretty much have to do is take away the running game from this team, which, last year there wasn't a whole lot of film on Jonathan Taylor, so teams were kind of getting surprised by all the different ways they were utilizing him. But, the NFL learns quick, and it's really hard to repeat a year like that. So, he was going to have some regression this year, but I don't think anybody expected it to be this bad.
What is wrong with you, Ken?
Now he's hurt. He had an injury coming into, I think, this last week or the week before. So if he's dealing with an injury all year with something, then who knows what his year's going to look like. I keep going on.
The cats could eat your food. They could. They ate a chicken nugget last night. All right, big outs. As we were recording last week, we kind of alluded to everything that happened with Tua. Very, very unfortunate for him. Glad that the NFL is taking a stance on saying, you know, this is not okay. Do better.
Sure.
Do better. So anyway, Tua is obviously concussed. He's week to week. Cordell Patterson for the... I tried to say Braves in my head. Sorry. I'm off of Atlanta Falcons, still on the Braves. Cordell Patterson for the Falcons hurt his knee. He's on the IR for at least 4 games. Javonte Williams for the Broncos running back is out for the season with an ACL-LCL tear.
Yeah, I was going to say he tore his ACL and his MCL.
What are those?
Speaking of Jonathan
Ligaments
Taylor,
in the knee.
Jonathan Taylor's day-to-day with an ankle injury. The test came back negative, whatever tests they were, that he was getting...
Probably broken bone,
you know,
or
whatever.
like a ligament tear.
But the test came back negative, but it's a short week as they play on Thursday. So it would behoove them to, like, let him rest. It's probably not, like, a must-win game at this point. But we'll see if he wants to play.
Hey.
If he can play.
What's the AFC South's record?
I mean, the Colts are...
The Jags are kind of...
The Colts are
making a
0-2-1. Or
yeah, they haven't won yet.
they've only...
Yeah,
tried.
so...
Yeah. Okay. Daniel Jones is day-to-day with an ankle injury. Tyrod Taylor still has that concussion. So I can't remember who their third-string quarterback is. It's somebody they had to call up.
They didn't have a third-string quarterback. They had to run the Wildcat, and they still ran all over the Bears.
So that one is interesting. Jamison Crowder for Buffalo wide receiver, broken ankle.
That's probably his year then.
It's set out undeterminate amount of time, but yeah. Jahan Dotson for the Washington Commanders has a hamstring injury. And as we said, Mac Jones is still week to week with his high ankle sprain. Colt McCoy is concussed, and it's the Zappy show.
Is that how you say his name? Zappy?
It's like yeah.
This week's matchups.
It's a cool name. I mean, like you didn't hear that.
Jen is trying to speak this into existence. She's trying to do the LeVar Ball thing. It's like, if I keep saying it, it'll happen, and he'll be just like Tom Brady. And I'm saying, why do we want that?
We don't. I just, it couldn't happen anywhere else. Yes. Alan has a bar over there, doesn't he? Yes.
Yes, chunk butt. Okay.
Yes.
Look, the director's here. All right. That brings us...
one of them.
Yeah, the other one's directing, as he should, over there. All right, that brings us to...
this week's matchups.
Okay, now hold up. Don't go speeding through it, Speedy Gonzalez.
Uh-oh.
I know. I get tired of having to put my finger over here.
Okay.
It was worse when it was in the other cast, though, because I had to add a second fingerprint.
Okay.
This
week's matchups.
No. Now this
is Alan
Says, and that comes after this week's matchups. See, you were gonna run right into this again, like we discussed not doing before the show. Yes, we did.
I don't think you pay attention at our production meetings.
All right, so going through this week's matchups, Jen, if you will.
Breeze is the word versus Chicago Mama Bear.
Oh, so one team, you might get their first loss.
Well, those are the top 2 teams in our league. So, Sue might get a loss, yes. Or Lindsay could even things up, which would be the same thing.
That would be the same thing.
Yes.
That's okay.
Or Sue can continue her dominance. Could happen either way.
We'll see.
I Gotta Win versus What the Heckler. So me versus Michaela. TaylorMade versus...
Devontae's Infernjo.
Which is the worstest name ever.
No,
you know what?
It's not
It's
actually.
not.
It's not.
But Austin's name isn't Joe. If Austin's name was Joe, it would actually be more creative.
He got Joe Burrow. I see what he was doing there. And I feel bad for having started this whole thing about he has a bad name, because this one here, we'll just keep running with it until championship week. So But it's not that bad of a name. It really isn't.
I don't like it either. But anyway, Herbert's Heroes versus King Henry. Soldier Fields versus Stafford Infection. And Battle of the 1 and 3 teams. The INF Krakens versus Lamar the Merrier.
All right. Now that we know who's playing this week, why don't we take a look into our crystal ball for, prop bet projections.
Yeah.
And go with
Alan.
Alan Says. That's right. How did he do last week?
He had 2 right and 3 wrong because he abstained on the mom and dad pick.
That's true. He didn't pick between us. He didn't want to take sides.
He correctly picked Michaela and Austin. Alan believed in you, Austin. So maybe if he picks you again, we'll never know. Oh Jesus!
I actually did believe.
We might see another one come flying.
Trooper's gonna attack R2. Damn. All right. Anyway.
Oh, I knew Mommy was gonna win, so I voted for that.
You didn't vote.
No.
Nice try though. Nice try though. So yes, Alan predicted that Michaela and Austin would win, which brings he was 2 for
3 last week because he abstained from one game.
Yes, so that for the season brings him to 11 and 12.
Which 2 did
11
I get
wins,
wrong?
12 losses.
Which 3 did you get wrong?
Which 3 did I get wrong?
Yeah, I didn't write that down. I did the ones he got right.
Well, let's look at it. You picked Delaney over Carson. That didn't happen. You picked Rick over Sam. That didn't happen. You picked Jameson over Michaela.
No!
You picked Michaela right.
Michaela.
You picked Michaela right.
So the ones you got wrong were Carson's win, Sam's win.
And
Which one am I missing? Carson's win, Sam's win.
We talked about how the cats aren't down here anymore, so now they both had to make appearances today. You two didn't want to get fired, huh?
He got this one right. He got this one right. He didn't vote on this. So 1, 2, 3, 4,
you're
5.
fired.
There's only 5 games on here. Oh wow. You.
Something got bolded and not.
Bolded.
I was typing.
I'm not looking at. And you got Sue versus Emily wrong. That's the thing. Okay, enough of that.
Moving on. This week, Alan.
So where are we starting with? What's the first matchup on your list there? You got I Gotta Win versus What the Heckler. So, Michaela versus Mom. Who's going to win?
2 and 2.
We're both 2 and 2, yes.
So who's going to win?
Sneaky trick. Anyways, I haven't turned my list here.
Yes. What's this? Alan says list of...
Yeah. So who's going to win?
Who's going to win?
What the heck?
Okay. Yay. We got an answer out of him. Oh, my word. Okay. Next up is... I'm just trying to go through your list because your list is different from this list.
No,
so
I went in order.
Well, TaylorMade versus Devontae's Infern Joe. Who's going to win?
TaylorMade.
TaylorMade is going to win.
Daddy,
all right.
I went in order.
Okay, fine. Then we've got Herbert's Heroes versus King Henry. Who is going to win?
King Henry.
All right. Next up, Breeze is the Word versus Chicago Mama Bear. Who's gonna win?
Breeze is the word.
Oh, Sue staying undefeated.
All right, okay. Next up, Soldier Fields versus Stafford Infection. Who's gonna win?
Soldier Field. Duh.
Your choir practice is coming in. There you go. And then finally, the Ionith Krakens versus Lamar the Merrier. Who's gonna win?
Lamar the Merrier.
Okay.
All right.
Finally, we can be done with this show.
Not quite. We've got one tiny little thing to get through. Yeah.
Welcome to October, everybody. Thursday game is the Colts at the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a low-scoring affair.
There is another London game this Sunday. So there's going to be 8:30 a.m. football. So if you've got somebody on the New York Football Giants.
Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Giants.
Or the Green Bay Packers.
Boo.
Make sure you have your lineup set up before Sunday morning because those teams are playing right away first thing.
Yes. Sunday Night Football is the Bengals at the Ravens.
Good game.
And Bears at the Vikings at noon.
On Sunday.
Well, yeah.
Well, we got to make the distinction.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Bears at the Vikings. It's Vikings week, people.
No one gives a crap about Vikings week.
Just Packer week. Okay.
The Vikings fans give a crap about Vikings week. Bears fans don't.
All right. And last, Monday Night Football. Raiders at the Chiefs. I think everybody thought maybe the Raiders were going to be a little bit better than they are this year, where this would have been much more of a marquee matchup, whereas now it's like, cool. So the Chiefs are going to roll all over the Raiders on Monday night. Cool.
Probably.
Yeah.
You know what? It would help if the NFL allowed for flex scheduling earlier in the year, so you wouldn't have blah games on Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays. Like, can't we at least get something decent to watch on the 3 other nights? Or the 3 nights that's primetime football?
All right.
Anyway.
And last but not least, what does this say, Alan?
Congratulations to Sam and Delaney.
Congratulations, guys. We
Yes.
are so happy for you. Super excited.
It's very nice to see. Congratulations to you both.
Absolutely.
Maybe it was a tell that Delaney started playing in the league because it's a family league.
She would have been sucked in for a while.
Well, you know what? It would have been really awkward if this had gone the other way, right? So, good on you, Sam, for, good on you guys. You didn't make it awkward for the rest of us because it's all about us, really. It's not about you.
Exactly. So yeah. Anyway, congratulations for that, and
We look forward to being able to celebrate with you whenever you're around next.
Yes.
So,
and that is our show this week, everybody. It was much more kitty infused than originally planned, but hey.
Yeah, you throw your script in the air because we're done with this episode. But
that's right.
Yeah. So thanks, everybody. Once again, we are really glad to be doing these, as always. I know
it sounds like we don't, but we do. But we really do.
We have fun.
Yeah.
We have fun. This one likes to make it all about him, but hey, guess what? It's kind of a theme, isn't it? So, goodbye, everybody!